Hi everyone, we're here to do a disassembly for an Ender 3. Ender 3 we're going to be disassembling is right here. It's got some custom mods. I got it out of the Maker Place, Facebook. So before I get started, got to have the key parts. Catch all those screws and nuts. Got to have the parts to disassemble it with. Lovely set of hex screws. And the reason I'm taking it apart is it had some custom mods for power and everything else. And you never trust someone else's electrical without verifying they're a licensed electrician. So I'm going to go ahead and disassemble it because I need it for the parts for my Ender 3 dual Ender build. We're going to go ahead and start carefully taking it apart. I'm going to talk to you and tell you what I'm doing, and we'll see how it goes. See how long it takes me to disassemble an Ender 3. So I'm going to move this down so you can actually see what I'm doing a little bit. I can get the computer to cooperate for me. A little grow light causing issues. Okay, we got a nice little stand here. So, first things first, we're going to look at this. We're going to probably say, okay, well, first things first is I'm going to take the power supply off. Because I'd rather have that in a safe location. It's got 4 screws right by the power supply with a mount. You can see this has got the dual axis, which is great. Means it's got both. Oh, gotta get those screws in here. It's got those. I can use those parts for what I'm doing, and make sure that what I do is safe and good. I'll probably have to wipe down and clean these Z-axis rails before I use them because they got some gunk on them. That's not too bad. Just use a microfiber cloth. Regular cloth, wipe them down, put some new lithium grease on there, make sure they're nice and good to go. Now you'll notice some other parts we got going on here. All right, we got the first part going. See those screws here? And 4 screws. I'm going to disconnect this. Easy part here. You can see here the box is coming apart. This is one of those custom parts. Someone added a plug to it. We're looking here. Oh, we had a lovely light system here. You can see this light system. It's plugged in and wired. So I'm going to make sure it's safe to come out. So they made a sort of custom box for it for this wiring. So we're going to take that off too. Make sure I got all the screws I need to basically disassemble Johnny 5, as it were, because I'll need those screws later on. Okay, so this was the shield. It's 2 screws. I just try to clean it up so I can use that box somewhere else. You look at it and you see what's going on here. And I can see where this wiring is going directly to the box. I will probably do that in another step, mainly just because I don't want to have to deal with it. So I'm unscrewing. Well, actually, I just needed to go get a Phillips head screwdriver. I don't currently have one. So, note to self: next time I take apart one of these monsters, make sure you have a Phillips head screwdriver. Throw it out. So we got the angle bracket for the mount. That's the first part that's available. Got a set of screws here. Now we're going to look, and we're going to see here that we have a couple of these T-nuts. And I'm going to go ahead and put them in there as well, so I don't have to lose them or figure out where they are. Because every single T-nut I have is a T-nut I don't have to buy, which makes this a little more enjoyable. All right, we're looking at the part here. I'm probably going to take this light off because the light is in my way. It looks like they I get slightly larger than my 2-inch. Does not appear to be a 3. That's a problem and a half. So I'm going to have to go downstairs real quick and go get my little angle iron. I'll be right back. Just get here with me. I'll let you look at the device while I'm doing that. Take a good hard look. I'll be right back. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. So I've got one of my lovely hatch key pieces that will have multiple different size sockets. Now you want to make sure you are using a metric, not SAE, because this is a metric. Now you'll notice here that I'm being very careful in how I do it, so I don't damage it, because I might want to reuse the light. I don't see why I wouldn't want to. It'd be kind of cool to have a light in my duender. I have to build a mount for it, but I'll figure something out. Okay, so that's the first part here. No, drop the screw. Now you notice this guy built some nice little brackets here. Now I'm going to set this aside. It is this traditional mount here. You can see here. There. Now I have disconnected that wire because I can. Not trying to damage anything. But there's a little bitty piece here that's screwed in, and they taped it up pretty well to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. I understand what they're doing. Just taking a look. Yeah, it's a spade connector. It's on that good. So rather than break something, I'm going to wait. Next big part is this spool holder we have up here, which you can see as I work on. So probably a 3, because it's a big screw. That comes right loose. All right, so that's M3. Got that one taken apart. That one taken apart. All right, I'll get those screws right there. Cool, and this has a nut. You can see the nut. Sorry for the bad video. I'm using the laptop, mainly because I'm having issues finding my camera. Make sure you don't lose any of those screws. They're all useful. Again, we pull out the T-nut that's sitting in the rail. Okay, now this is a neat little device. This is a filament guide to make sure your filament's where you want it to be. I think it's a pretty cool design, using one of the wheel bases and everything else. So for me to be able to I'm not going to actually take that apart because I don't want to break it. I can take these parts here off. When I take the rail out in this disassembly, it'll be ready to go. Now, other people are going to have different suggestions. What I'm going to do is take this Z-axis rail here off, get these loose and get ready to go, so I can safely get this done. So I'll make sure I'm taking a 2. This is the 3. Here's the 2 right here. This is where the interesting 2 is going to spin. That's too small. So it definitely isn't the 1.5. So we'll just try the 2.5. Because it's always nice that they have different size screws everywhere. So those are going. You can see them unscrewing. If I focused, I will show you where they are once I pull this off. But basically, it's the brackets that attach the motor to the uprights. Put the 2 screws there. You'll notice that this is starting to get a little wiggly. That's okay. Let's use little button screws here. Okay. Now we're going to also get the ones up here. See that? And we're going to pull that out. A little longer. Pull that one out. All right. Now you can see what's going on here. All right. So we got that middle part. All right. So what do we got here? So this metal is a little loose. That's not a surprise. Now I could do a number of things to get it out. I'm not going to. because there's a number of steps I'm doing. I'm going to take this other part off first, and then I'm going to take the top rail off, and I'm going to lift up the x-axis. I'm sorry. I think that is it. Yeah, that's the x-axis. Oh, it's the z-axis. I'm sorry. It's the gantry. My terminology, poor. Please don't roast me badly if anyone is actually watching. But yeah, so get this out. Be very careful with it. You can see that it wants to swivel. Got 2 mounts there. That's pretty good. Again, we want to get our screws. Catch them carefully. And then same thing over here. Okay, we got our screws. All right, so now we can take these 2 off. Again, remember, that's a big screw, not a small screw. So these are the big strengthening nuts that hold this thing together. So there's 2 screws here, 2 screws at the bottom that come up, and that's how it all comes together. So when we assemble this for the, see the big screws here? When we assemble this to take the duender back together, we got to make sure we know what we're doing. Now I'm going to have to wipe down the rails because they got some spray on, little dust, new age. But the rails look in good condition. I don't know if it's paint or it's dust. So they've been sitting in a garage forever and collected dust. And so that happens. You know, can't do much about that. Now, I'm pretty sure someone's going to say, well, you should have disassembled the gantry before you do that. And I'll be like, you know, I could have. But I didn't want to. I'm being careful. I'm not wiggling around, bending the pieces. All right, now we talked about this. This nice little rail, now it's part. So we got our next part. That's the first extrusion. I'm going to keep this. I might use it somewhere. I might be keeping some of my parts as functional pieces. Okay, so there's things we can do now. I could lift it up and try to get it to go all the way up. But before I do anything stupid, I'm going to just disconnect what I can from the wiring to make sure I don't have any gotchas. Because we don't want any gotchas, right? We don't want any, oh, well, you forgot about this. So no. Let's look at this. Look real carefully. We can see there's a wire connector here. See there's a wire connector here. I know there's a wire connector here. All right, so all the motors are disconnected. So we spin the Z-axis carefully up, get them up and out of the way. Make sure that the cable can freely go there. It doesn't bind like you saw mine was doing. Again, remember I have to clean these, and I'm kind of keeping them up to the top. If you had the spinner things to exercise them, probably would have been a good choice. Now I am regretting removing the motor mount because it's a little harder to spin when it's free falling. So now I pull this up. Okay. And now I free the X gantry, which we'll disassemble in a minute. And here's our first motor. This is the rail. It's a 42 by 34Z. So we're going to put that over here as a part. It's a part we want to keep. Now I've got some parts going on here that I'm trying to keep together. There's the wiring, and I need a different screwdriver. But we got this guy. I'm going to try and fiddle it right through there. Now the light is no longer part of the device. So this wiring of the device part is not disconnected. It's great. Now we're going to look at this axis, right? The hot end is still connected. Well, it's got some Z-strips and everything else. So I have to get wire snips before I do that. Leave it set down right here, and we'll come back to it. We're not doing too bad, folks. Got a couple minutes in. Again, pulling 2.5 inch screws for the bottom. Oh God, this one's tight. It's probably factory. It's also, the other one was a steel, and these are black stainless steel, and this one's a black one, so you can see there's some differences going on. Okay, and now we have the again, the same size. This is the Pro version, so someone has the Axis model on it. That's pretty apparent. Okay. So what do we got here? We got the Z-axis and we got the Y-axis mode here. So we're looking at it. We see what we got. I'm going to rotate it again because we're ready to take off the little controller part. So again, you want to go to the large size screws because the big screws are the big screws. So there's 2 screws that hold the screen for the touch dial, the old-fashioned, cheapo little display. And, you got to pull them out. So there's one screw. You get the other screw out. And ready to go. All right, it just tilted, so that's good. And be very careful because you're going to reuse all these parts. So you don't break anything. Like me. So we've got the one cable. Now we've got the motor part. Now this part. Okay, so now we look what we got. We got a bed here. It's got some weird stuff on it. It's got a plate and it has a little piece on top of it that they glued to it. It's kind of an interesting little choice. It kind of make me think that they glued the plate together. So I'm going to take the plate apart. Got these wheels right here, which I'll show you. You can see the wheels. These are where we have to manually tighten on these old ones to get the belt flat or not flat, whereas the newer ones are a little more forgiving. You don't mess with the tightness so much. So this was an old style thing. So once you put in the bed leveler, the Eddy Pro, whatever have you, just make sure they're snug and tight. There's a big design for the larger ones for the expression, do kinematics to basically design it so that it will allow expansion. So if you want the expansion one with the larger beds, like the CR10s I'll be building, you want to have 2 points in the back that are fixed and 1 point in the front that's on a roller. Basically all of them on kind of like a ball bearing, so that the expansion can happen as the heat affects it and you're not doing stress of a screw pushing back and forth causing crumpling. I've been looking into that. I'm not sure that I'm ready to do that right now. That's going to be a future mod. So we'll see. All right. These screws, you got to turn righty, lefty, loose, righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Make sure you go the right direction. Sometimes I mess up. And you learn. Don't over tighten anything. It's a hard lesson to learn. You don't want to ever over tighten stuff. Okay, now this one's coming off. Yay. All right. Again, this is all dusty. I got to wipe this all down once I've got these apart before I assemble my next printer because the dust will impact it. You can see a little dust we got going on here. These are just dust. So we will clean this all up, make it nice and shiny. Oh, you can see what's going on there. It is really tight. See how I have to press down on the one side because this side right here where I'm working is the only one on right now. That's a little snug. So it is obviously under tension and bending and all that fun stuff. But, we can work with it. All right. So we've got the bed plate. This is glass. Looks like this was pretty much, looks like it's glued on. Yeah, it's pretty much glued together. And it shifted at some point. So, oh, there it goes. There we go. It was with double-sided sticky tape. Isn't that nice of them? That's exactly what it was. Okay, so that's the heat plate. Now, you don't want to lose these metal screws or these springs. The springs and the bushings are very useful, very important. Mainly because you don't have to order them. Replacements. So I got them there. I think that was Kevlar tape they said the guy used, or should have used when you're dealing with this. Now, you notice this little thin wire I'm touching right here. Try and leave that alone. You don't want to mess with it, because that is how it is connected to the printer. See, there's a little limit switch right there. Pull that out. Okay. So now we're going to turn it on its side. And we're going to look at it. Now, you can't see it from where you're looking, but there are a number of screws. Here's 2, there's 4 here, there's 2 here. This is the mount. So I have to, and there's also the control box, which got 3 screws right there. Got to take them all out. So let's get started, shall we? Should be pretty straightforward at this point. We're not doing anything illustratively different or, unique. We are just putting it together. Okay, so first things first. So that I have it level, I'm going to take you know, whatever choice you want. But there's a bracket here. This took me unloosening just a hair. It slid right off. So now I can see the screws here. I can now put this flat, so it's not going to, it's now a little steadier. So now I can use, again, we go back to the tool here. And we are going to take the screws out here. All right, got those out. Obviously, they're fun. I'm going to measure them and put them in bags and everything else later. This is just me working pretty quickly. I will actually probably put them in this bin on the table I have right next to me so I don't lose all the parts. Okay, here's my next. It's my 20 by 40 upright. Cool. Pretty quick, right? Yay. All right, well, now we've got 4 screws here because, you got 4 screws right here. I don't do them all because I don't want it falling on me. And, tighten it equally. You might want to loosen it equally too because, you don't want to have bend it by accident. I'm looking and I'm seeing some bad filament placed in here. Heard that's really tight, which is good, but you don't want to over tighten them to the point that it causes a bend. You can hear that nice little snap. That's really tight screws. All right, so as you can see, when you're putting it together, you want to make sure it's all square and perfect. When you're taking it apart, it's a little easier. And there's the first rail, 40 by 40 base. All right, so now we have choices. And what a set of choices we have. Well, we have here, this is the extension, right? That's the motor in to let me know that it wants to move. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this, really, so I can easily get access to what I'm doing is loosen the belt so I can pull the bed off because I don't want to bend up the bed, especially when I'm playing turn it around. So there will be a part where I have to be flexible with the belt, but you can now see that runs inside and you can access it. So I've got the belt here. It's got a little turner. So all I'm doing is feeding the belt. I'll show you in a second. Pay it through. See, there's a little end cap here where it's pressed on. Crap. And if you look on the bed, you'll see this one is still attached. So you put it up, turn it in, coming in. So me for to take it off, all I had to do was that. So I turn it, and then I bend it. It comes right out. There it goes. And now the belt's free. The bed's free. Look how dusty that is. Okay. So we got that part out. I'm going to change that to linear rails, but that's okay. No worries there. All right. We can see what we got going on. I got one of those. Right? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and remove the rest of these parts we got going on here. We got a lever switch here. So oh, that's too big. So we'll make sure it's the right screw. Two, so oh, it's the 2.5. Where is the 2.5? There it is. Okay, so here's the 2.5. Sorry.
You want Domino's?
Sure, Domino's is fine.
Taylor.
So it actually is a 3. All right, so we have Grayson. I'm recording. Go walk. Okay, so we got that. Now we got the piece, and you can see it's got the T-nut on it, so that's great. Now we're going to grab those T-nuts that are still in here because we want those T-nuts because they're expensive. Well, not really, but we want them for the next job. Okay, so we see that. You can see they're all in there. This is the entire build part. I have literally filled up the screw gun. Grayson, go downstairs. Stop yelling. Okay, so we got some corners here. My son's trying to get everyone to eat pizza with him tonight because he's already eaten pizza and he wants more. Okay, so we got this is the motor mount. You can see this is very good and important because I have to reuse these motor mounts and the bushings. You can see, I'll show you in a second. This bushing seems to have been used a bit. Had a lot of wear on it. I'll probably change that. But you can see this right here. Look how dirty that bushing is, and this is the one right here. So this one looks like it's a press fit, so I might have to have some fun trying to pull it off. It is a 2432. It's going to be an interesting exercise to get that motor available. So anyway, right now we're just going to put that aside. Okay, so now we got this rail we can take off. So that rail comes off pretty easily. It's got 4 screws in the back, like the other ones do. So we take it off. All right, we unscrew it. Got the screws, turn it this, get those screws going. So tomorrow I'm going to try and start putting the frame together for the duender, which is taking these 2 Ender 3 Pros that I have and making a new Core XY printer. Hopefully you'll all be interested in seeing that. And following the Urbis, Sergey's design process for the linear rail version. So we'll get the frame at least together. The wiring and everything else is probably not going to get done the first day. I'm just going to make sure I get the frame steadier, everything neat and structurally sound, all the tightenings in, maybe the linear rails on there. Have to clean up the linear rails because they're shipped dirty. They're shipped in a Cosmoline or something. Keeps them clean, right? But that's not what you want to run them on. So you're going to have to wipe them with alcohol, I'm sorry. And then you have to, after that, you have to lithium grease them or silicone grease them or whatever you're going to use. You can use your own instructions. There you go. So you can see what's going on here. This is the way it is. So here is my second 40 by 40. This one is the newer design where they didn't actually cut out the top on it. So that's pretty cool. It's actually pretty good for me because I needed one of those. Now you'll see this one has the cut. We'll see if we can't use that. All right, so now what we got left is the hardware box with all the wiring. So I'm going to work to get that off. That should be the two. It's got, yep, there's the three little screws, and then two big screws. Take her, come in. So we get the two little screws off, and we'll see what this board's made out of. This was a custom board. Someone worked on it and designed it and put some love into this design, so I appreciate that. And I'm going to try and keep it going for a little bit longer. And it looks like it is a Creality board. Yeah, that's okay. The Creality boards work, but you had to either upgrade them for the silent stepper or the stepper's main noise, or again, you have the two screws at the top where you have the LCD scrap mount, but on the other side for the power box. I have been upgrading the SKR Mini Big Tree Tech, and I was futzing with them as I was deciding to do upgrades before I had started printing, which was a mistake. You should learn to print before you do that, or have a working printer that's a little easier, more user-friendly. I started with an Ender 3 Pro and started upgrading it over and above what I needed to do at a bare minimum. So, there's some lessons there. And now you can see I've got it pretty much tore down. I've got two more screws. Oh, 6 more screws. You got the 4 here and the 2 here. You can see those. Just take it apart. So we basically get them loose. You want to be able to reuse these screws if you can. Once this is done, I'm gonna clean these parts up and reorganize them and put them in a neatly organized bin. Make sure I don't lose the screws, which is part of this. You can see I'm doing this on a flat table. I mean, they say you want to do it as flat as possible. My dining room table is pretty dang flat. I'm going to get it loose together and not tighten it. I have a butcher block table downstairs that I will probably use for verifying it's perfectly flat. But for basic assembling, making sure it's mostly square, clamping it together, and it's freaking 90 degrees and 80% humidity outside, I will do it on my dining room table. Okay, so here is the second 20 by 40 upper rail. So we now have 2 of those available. Now we've got the 4 screws left, and then we'll have the other 40 by 40s available. And then basically the Ender 3 has been taken apart. Now you guys who are paying attention will notice that the lovely hot end has not been touched. Yes, that is correct. I have not touched the hot end. I haven't touched the gantry. There's a lot more to unscrew there, and I will do that. Just not this second. I want to get the frame apart and make sure I knew what was going on here before we went anywhere further. Because, it matters. And you can see my little dog, Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell, come here. She is our assistant today. She says it's all tasty. She'll eat any wires. Won't you? Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I'm working. Yes, you can sit right there, and I'll pet you when I can. Now, she is a chewer, and she's a Rottie. Pure blood Rottie, which is kind of small, considering her mother. But, yeah, she is a Rottie, and she will eat anything you leave in her safe, which is why everything you see on this table, which I am disassembling, will be going in a bin, so it's further back on the table because she jumps on the table. All right, so we got another footer, and then we have the y-axis with the cuts in it. So out of this, we got 2 feet rails, 40 by 40. 1 cross beam, 40 by 40. 2 z-axis rails, 20, 40. All right. And we got 1 20 by 20 extrusion for the top of the device. And right now, we're looking at the remaining pieces. We have another 40 by 40 that was the attachment. What are you doing, Taylor? Uh-huh. Get it going. Now, so I'm going to look at this 20 by 20 rail, and I notice how it's attached. Very similar to how everything else was attached. 20, all right, so the 2.0 millimeter one does not work. So this is a 3. So whoever used this used the large screws on all this work. Which maybe is appropriate, maybe not. I don't know. So what I'm removing right now is the tensioner for the belt. Okay, so this is the default tensioner that came with it. Most people redesign this and make it better with a screw that you can pull apart, because trying to have this on the rail like and this and just pull it and set it is a bit painful. So most people redesign that. Okay, we got some more of these pieces here. These T-nuts that are put in. We can look and see what's going on here. We can see we have some more mounting brackets here, which is hilarious because I believe the mounting brackets are 2.0. So the tensioner was a big old screw, but the actual carriage that it rode on up and down were smaller screws. It seems to me to be counterintuitive. I don't know. What do you guys think? It makes sense to use a smaller screw for the carriage than you used for the tensioner? I think it kind of just opens up yourself to having issues. That's me. Now, this is screwed into the X-frame. I'll show you in a minute. There's screws, there's tapped sections for the X-frame. So this is the old wheeled version. This is the lock nut for the Z-axis. I think it's a lashing nut, or a lot of the versions have a little spring catch so that when it drops it would stop. This is the original design. So we got that on there. Now we're going to look and we can see this is the original extruder. Like we have with the base, the belts are just slid on here. So, you turn it 90 degrees, or you can pull it out because I took the tension off. Then you can pull the belt all the way out. And the extruder harness, which actually for this one includes, they made it into a direct drive extruder, which I probably won't mess with right now because they did some hard work there. It's the 4240. It's got the extruder gear. They've done a lot of work on this. So that's pretty good. Now, remember I talked about how this is all latched together and a little problematic because of that. You want to make sure you have the flexibility to move the cables around where the cables need to go. Okay, so you can see here what's going on. They've got this cable wrapped all the way 30 ways to sideways. So I'm going to take the cable harness off because it doesn't do anything for me right now, and I need to disassemble it anyway. So there are 4 screws on the cover for the front where it does something. It's a shield to make sure the wires don't get in somewhere. I believe it's also it's a very tiny screw here. So we're going to just get those loose so I can take the cover off and move the wiring and not have to disassemble it any more than I already have. So just take those 4 screws out. It's now separating. There's the motor right there. The motor came out. So my problem is those motors might need me to disassemble them. Oh, because that's one of the, what's in here is one of the safety catches. So you'll see in there, that's a safety switch to stop it. It's all appropriate, all normal. Okay, now this is the other side. This is normally where you have the extruder mounted. Again, you have the safety latch here. This metal bracket's going to go away. So you can see we have a couple screws here. Trying to get a good view in here. There. Sorry, get the view in here. Just get those screws off so that they're free from the bracket. So we got the screw in the hole. That's the wrong size. Put the screw in the hole. That's the wrong size. Having fun with the screws in the hole. Ah, yeah, that's 1.5. Okay. Give me a minute. I got to figure out where my screwdriver went. That's why you want to always have a nice, neat pile. Also trying to make sure I don't ding up this lovely plate too much while I'm moving stuff around. Okay. Well, we're going to clean up for a second because my screws are missing. Now, I'm not going to reuse these belts. These belts have been in use forever and ever and ever. Belts are cheap, $6 for new belts. They really don't look like they've been used that much. Just gray and dusty, but it's probably safer. Probably safer to buy new ones because of age. Dry rot happens, and that's just something we got to deal with. Okay, so now we got the screws. So we got this little, so I'm going to put them in this bin right here that I have because I'm dealing with them and they're dusty right now. And I will clean them not on camera. So these are my spare parts here. So I'm going to put them in here. So I'm tracking them. So all my base parts are put away. All the other additional parts here are put away. So there's no issue. You can always use these parts. They're important. You definitely need the only got 3 of these. There's one more floating around here. These are 4 bed nuts. Don't want to lose those. A motor. Those are important. Tensioner. Then we have the limit switches. So put them there. The new piece here, that's kind of cool. We're also going to protect this a bit when we put this in so the screen is not getting rubbed on. Again, we have the screen tensioner. So they're all put away. Oh, and I got a screw that ran away. This is probably not going to get used, but I'm going to bring it anyway. And let's see what else we've got. Okay, we've got a screw that fell through. And I found out where my screwdriver went. My screwdriver decided to hide underneath the table. Okay, so we've got, underneath here we have our Creality 422, which is I think the newer one. It has a smart cardboard in there. It's got the motor. So that's all good. It's all important stuff. So let me disassemble this as much as I can. So I don't really want to mess with the hot end line, and I definitely don't want to mess with the connection to the hot plate. I don't want to bend this because this is important to keep flat. Also the metal plate. So these all seem to be correct. There are 3 pieces of the heating. And like we just said, we don't want to have it bent for any reason. So I'm just gently setting it in there. And then here's the heat plate. Goes on top. Now notice this is the electrical sections. I've got to disassemble this because someone did some custom wiring, and I'm not sure what he did. But it is a Meanwhile kind of LRS 350 24 volt, which means it's a 24 volt system, which is what we're looking for, because that means that it'll work. All right, so the last part we have for my little disassemble Johnny 5. Oh, there's the wheel. This Johnny 5 disassembly, 2.5 through the screw here, and we get the screw on. We get that gently unscrewing here. We're doing pretty good. I think we've only been at this for 45 minutes while I chatted and mumbled about what I'm doing. So, slow and steady. I don't want to rush through anything and break any parts. Assembling this will probably take you twice as long, so I don't suggest that. Okay, there's the other 2020 piece. You'll see the screws here, the screw holes. That's where these screws were. They screwed directly in there because you didn't want it moving. This is the hard fixtures. We'll be reusing these pieces. This here, we probably won't be reusing, unfortunately. The last nut thing we might use, the wheels and everything, the eccentric nuts here, where they talk about the eccentric nut, where you see how one is circular over here, and one is that's to tighten it up on the thing. We're not probably going to use that, mainly because I don't have a need to. Now you can see all my screws are nice, neat, and sitting together. I can put that on the plate and I don't have to worry about losing it. This is to hide the wiring inside the frame, which, no sense throwing away if I can use it. And we have the 2 motors, which I'm going to leave out for right now because I need to clean them. And I don't want to destroy them. All right. Well, thank you for sitting through me with my demolition. I hope you all enjoyed the little video, and like and subscribe if you want to see more of these kind of videos. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Oh, the dog cat.